Howdy folks, Timberdrifter here. So I'm house sitting right now. Horses and a dog to take care of on what amounts to a rich folks estate, sort of. They're friends of mine that are doing well enough financially to afford a very large house on quite a few acres of land and have pet horses and barns and things like that. Really neat folks, good people. And I enjoy house sitting for them. Unfortunately, their dog is not here. He has gone on a road trip. He's one of my favorite dogs. But in exchange, I have some of the family's other dog. He's a little black lab, and he lacks general intelligence, but he's a real sweet dog. You know, one of those dogs that gets lost fairly easy. He never does figure out which side the door opens. You know, he always seems to stand on the wrong side when you're trying to let him back in the house. He didn't see me go into the barn earlier to feed the horses, and when I came out, he didn't recognize me and freaked out and started barking. Anyway, what he lacks in intelligence, he makes up for in sweetness. So, let me get this pipe lit up here. I dropped a little bit of tobacco out of there. Now the husband of the male property owner here, he's an occasional pipe smoker, so I'm okay to smoke outside. It's really snowing here. So, let's see. Yeah, so for me to come here and house sit, this is like living in luxury for a few days occasionally. And I get to hang out with the horses. They're pretty neat. There's one asshole among the horses, but the other two are cool. This is sort of a pine plantation, or that's what it feels like. Definitely is. I mean, these are all planted pines here. And a deck that wraps around three sides of the house, so it's perfect for smoking in inclement weather. Which actually, it's quite warm today. I'm not sure the temp, maybe 30, 35, 36, something like that. And the snow earlier was just coming down in clumps. It's starting to phase out a little bit now. Smaller flakes. Excuse me a moment. Olive! Come here! He's getting a little too far away. Don't want him to get lost. So this McClelland #1 grade Balkan is pretty good smoke, I'd say. It's not... Oh... I'm going to say it's not great, but it's pretty good. It's not Balkan Blue, but it's pretty damn good. But I'm not much of a tobacco reviewer. I like what I like. There's some stuff I don't like. There's some stuff I like a lot. And I can taste all kinds of things in the tobacco, and sometimes I can even break down what the tobacco consists of. But there's plenty of guys doing that on YouTube. It does smoke pretty cool, though. I mean, I can puff with a little bit more, or I can puff with a little bit quicker cadence than I normally would. And it remains, you know, tasty and not harsh, and pretty cool on the tongue. Of course, this pipe is an excellent smoker, so I mostly smoke Bishop's Move and from Yuli's, and Haunted Bookshop. Occasionally some other things, but mostly it's Bishop's Move and Haunted Bookshop in this pipe. Mostly Haunted Bookshop. Where'd that damn dog go now? There he is. Okay. He's right there. There you can just make out the horses. Right there. I like horses pretty well. I'm not experienced with them. I don't ride horses. I mean, I will occasionally, given the opportunity. But I'm no cowboy. Although I grew up around enough cowboys to know the difference between a real one and a fake one. Anyway, it's interesting to stay in this house and watch Apple TV. It took me a while to figure out how that works, really. Just watched a great program on, some people pronounce the name differently. Even in the program, which was almost an hour long, I watched it on PBS. Otzi or Etzi, the 5,000-year-old guy that was found in the Italian Alps in, I believe, 91. Which is very interesting to me because 91 is roughly the year I started gaining consciousness as a human being. And I remember when that was on the news. And every few years I read about, you know, whatever the new discovery is. I pronounce it Otzi. I don't know if that's right or not, but and it's interesting how early on there were so many things that the scientists, anthropologists thought they had right that were wrong. And of course, anthropologists and archaeologists typically, if they find an item that they can't identify the use of right away, they say it must have been a religious or spiritual talisman, which is pretty ridiculous. Maybe they ought to ask some primitive skills folks instead of just assuming things. But it looks like they worked out most of the kinks these days on what he was carrying with him. But it's interesting to find out that he had Lyme's disease, which I also have. I probably still have it anyway. I had a pretty intense couple of years with that particular bacteria. Antibiotics didn't take care of it. Eventually did a pretty stringent herbal treatment several times over, which seemed to knock it back enough that my mind came back. My body quit hurting so much. But I've definitely had some neurological changes as a result of it. Excuse me again. Olive, come here. All right, here he comes. What was kind of curious to me is the Iceman, Otzi, had arthritis in his ankles, knees, and lower back. And he had tattoos, which was on those areas and various other areas, which was a common sort of hunter-gatherer, prehistoric, not prehistoric, but primitive way of dealing with pain was tattooing the area. In fact, it still goes on in a few tribes. And Lyme's bacteria is known to cause arthritis-like symptoms and degrade, well, not just symptoms, but cause arthritis and also degrade cartilage, and he had very little cartilage in his knees. So I have to wonder about that. It's interesting, he had some kind of mountain sheep meat and an early type of wheat in his stomach that looked like that was his last meal. Anyway, all kinds of other stuff. If you're interested in the Iceman and what they've been finding out about him all these years later, I'd watch the most recent stuff. It seems to be the most intelligent. They've figured out a lot of stuff about him. But knowing about that guy in my preteen years, and all the way through my teen years as well, we're always reading about the newest stuff they'd figured out about him or thought they'd figured out, had a pretty big influence on me as far as wanting to learn primitive skills and just knowing what that guy carried with him. What a great find. 5,000-year-old guy who was rather advanced in age at 45, they think. 45 to 50 for the time period. Pretty advanced in age. Alright, that's all I gotta say, folks. Take care.